All right, let's continue our conversation. Let's push ahead, and I think so. We're still in chapter 3 here. And this is about where we had left off. It was talking about your role as a GM, and this led to some good conversation. Though I think we understand by this point, because the playtest rules do make it clear, and they make it very clear that here's a bunch of stuff you can do. You also don't have to do it. And so I'm going to skip over the hemming and hawing. Well, you have VPN, you have distinguished taste. As, yep, well, there we go. VPN is a goblin enjoyer, from what I understand. Is this true, VPN? Do you enjoy goblins? Yep. You enjoy... Is that because... Goblin Hands. Goblin Hands wrote that sentence. I know how this works. And you know what? I totally forgot to get a root beer. Hold on a second. All right, so we have an understanding of the hemming and hawing going on in the rules. Look, it's clear. It's written in a very passive voice. It is written to whatever you want to encapsulate modern sensibilities and such. It's going after a very specific audience. That could be you. It could not be you. Maybe it's not you, but you still want to give it a try because you want to see what it's like. You can get your own playtest right here at Daggerheart.com and go over it. I'm not going to worry about the... I'm not going to worry about the minutia of social graces at the table. I understand it intends for there to be constant communication and improvisation. That is something this playtest has doggedly instilled. I get it. The author has made it clear. This is what what Daggerheart is meant to do, is to prompt the continual the continual series of actions and feelings with people at the table. Yeah, I know, Paisley, like, there's good advice. It's just so driven home. So consistently applied. Yeah, this has not been through an editor. An editor might look at whatever the playtest results were and say, drop the passive voice, and you can't keep making the same backtrack every single paragraph. Here's a rule that you don't have to follow. Next section, here's a rule that you don't have to follow. The third rule. Let me guess, I don't have to follow it? You don't have to follow it. Did I tell you about our fourth rule in Daggerheart? I don't have to follow it? Yeah, you don't have to follow the you don't have to follow, which means you have to follow all the 3 rules before. Look, I'm saying it with a smile, and not because I'm trying to hold back like I'm crying or something. This isn't terrible, and I want to delve more into the mechanics. I get the feel, I get the notion. You know what? If the audience or the writer or the corporation has a particular bend or culture or approach or language that they use, or this has to pass certain whatever readers, like social sensitivity readers, or if this is like, because I brought up too, like, is this sounds kind of like a teacher resource. Like, if you're dealing with elementary kids, you want to provide support but also tell them that they've done bad things, but you can't tell them they've done bad things, so you have to tell them they've done bad things in good ways. Maybe this is just the experience that a writer had with a teacher's handbook or a behavioral handbook from a therapist or something like that, because this is so, it's out there. But the writer can only write in a particular way, but the editor is going to go through and say, look, you can cut out so much of this to abbreviate it, because everyone knows, like, you've made the theme of the game clear. Everyone knows your target market, and you don't have to keep saying something you can do and retracting it the very next sentence. So, oh, cool. I hope you have an awesome party, Mawile, and it was good to see you back. Please stop in anytime. It was a pleasure to have you, as always. Of course, you know, we're on Discord too. I hope we'll get to see you around. So yeah, Paisy, a lot of this might actually be cleaned up by an editor who can go through and say, I get it. I understand your intentions. Let's make the language more efficient. Or to not come across in ways that the playtest could come across. Well, 'tis what it is then. Yeah, Paisy, exactly. We brought that up in Chapter 2's reading, where, you know, even in D&D, let's go back to bog standard D&D. Everyone's heard of it, everyone's played it, blah, blah, blah. The player's handbook still gives you a set of rules, though in the DMG, there's a ton of options that you can consider. And maybe this is a system that just puts everything into one book, so it is everything. But the way that it's struck, yeah, I would rather it loaded up with the core, tell me what the core experience is, then have the line of anything can be anything in fiction. Although, please, oh gosh, it's so jarring to consistently be reminded that I'm a human being with other human beings communicating at a table telling fiction. Again, it's some uncanny thing like, hi, fellow human. Ha, I enjoy the human things that you also enjoy doing, saying, or perhaps even thinking, such as what we humans often do. Except when we don't, which is also okay. As human beings, we are creatures of duality, of hope, and also human fear. We can laugh and smile. We can have fun. I'm not making fun. Like, it's not a derogatory. Let's have fun. Let's learn, let's grow, let's process what's here as a way to help improve through playtest feedback, as well as we can take personal lessons away from this as well. How do we sound when we speak? How do we communicate as we write? These are excellent learning lessons, and not even at the expense of anyone. This is a win-win for everyone involved. Alright, so we don't roll 2d12, we roll a d20. We only ask for rolls when something could happen. Yep, there's some concepts for that. Things to avoid. Choosing softer and harder moves. Here's some examples. This is combat. This is dramatic stuff. This is prompting a player. You can read the list. I'm skipping over the list. Not because it's uninteresting or I'm undermining the sanctity of the hemming and hawing. It's a list. We get it. I want to move on. Show how the world reacts. Ask a question and build on the answer. Make an NPC act in accordance with their motive. And maybe a lot of this, so some of you, Paisy or Mawile or someone, maybe instead of a teacher's handbook, like this is like an elementary school, like this is how you address discipline, maybe this is actually, one of the writers has inspiration from an acting and improv. This could even be from a collegiate course. So maybe this is really just, a thinly veiled, restructuring of the core 101 level lessons in acting. I don't know. I've not read those books. I don't have them, but, and if that's the case, hey, not everyone's read an acting book. So, lean on the character's goals to drive them to action, signal an imminent off-screen threat, reveal an unwelcome truth or unexpected danger, offer the PC what they want in exchange for marking a stress, make a move the characters don't see, force the group to split up, show the cost of collateral damage, make a PC mark a stress as a consequence for their actions, make an attack, spend action tokens, capture someone or something important, use a PC's backstory against them, take away an opportunity permanently. Solid concepts for what GMs can do in a game. While PCs have the opportunity to gain hope as a meta currency during the game, you have the opportunity to gain fear. When you first start a campaign, you begin with 2 fear, just like each PC begins with 2 hope. Whenever a PC rolls with fear, you have the opportunity to gain fear instead of making a GM move. You can also gain fear by converting tokens on the action tracker. Hey, thank you, Obsidian.
Sheol not.
Cheers to you, my friend. I hope everything is going well out your way. Or if it's back out your way, or are you still closer my way? Yeah, cheers. You can also gain fear by converting tokens on the action tracker, as well as from certain abilities or spells used by the PCs. You can never have more than 6 fear at a time, so don't hesitate to spend it. You can track fear with tokens in a pool, a die, or other counting method. Okay, yeah, tracking fear, suggestions. I'm going to pass the suggestions because it's going to turn into more of explaining everything that is a possibility, and we get it. If you would like to go back, Daggerheart.com, download the playtest, and check out the details. You back across the pond? Okay. Well, you're not really. Are you across it? Really? You're in it. You're in the midst. You're that lovely frog singing on the rock that's in the middle of the pond, or the fountain, even. Although, if your fountain ever activates out your way, that's some spicy water coming out of that fountain, and I would be very worried for you. You get the spicy water coming out of that fountain in the pond. Whenever you spend fear, describe what changes the world in the world as fear manifests. What happens that interrupts the PCs? How does an adversary prepare for a powerful attack? What does it look, sound, or smell like when an avalanche crashes down or on the PCs? When you spend fear, you can interrupt the PC during combat to take an action, add 2 tokens to the action tracker, use an adversary's fear move, use an environment's fear move. So these are ways that you can interrupt the PCs during combat to take an action. Add 2 tokens to the tracker, and there was more on that earlier. Use an adversary's fear move, spending the action token. So that must be on the stat block, because just as the players might need to spend hope to activate a spell or something, or an ability, it sounds like your enemies might need to spend fear to do something, more than normal. Or use an environment's fear move. Using the action tracker. The action tracker should come into play whenever an encounter will likely last longer than a dice roll or two. The first couple times you use it in your campaign, ensure your players know that the game generally continues as usual. The action tracker's presence doesn't mean that violence is the only option left on the table, just that the narrative is shifting to a moment-by-moment focus. You can use the image provided in the game materials as your action tracker, or you can use something else like a bowl, a labeled note card, etc. Just make sure everyone at the table knows where the tracker is. Alright, so these are the things you can do about activating adversaries. You don't tell me how to play my game, Daggerheart. This implies Barn Recluse. Yeah, it's super spicy, Obsidian. Bane says the first few times you use it, you should assure your players that this is normal and they might feel slight pressure. You'll feel a pinch. VPN says agreed. Also, choosing unexpected skill proficiency is really fun. Oh yeah, I like having that sort of a thing. VPN. Adversary actions work much like PC actions do, but instead of a PC adding a token to the tracker, adversary actions spend a token from the tracker. Think of this as the adversaries catching up to where the players are in the fiction. You can continue acting until you've exhausted all available tokens, or until you wish to utilize it, this time. Once you're done spending action tokens, play returns to the PCs. Typically, you shouldn't activate the same adversary twice between PC moves, no matter how many tokens you have available. If you'd like to activate that adversary again, wait until the next time you make a GM move. Activating the environment. Scenes can become more exciting when the environment comes alive. Sometimes these changes are simply narrative. That's why, so the concept was you need permission to do things in the game. These tokens act as permission to act. That, the permission for the waterfall to turn into lava or whatever, right? That's not said in a derogatory fashion, but this is that it's trying to instill the step-by-step consensual advancement of one thing at a time happening in your fiction. Exchanging fear and tokens. At any time, you can clear 2 tokens on the action tracker in exchange for storing 1 fear. While this gives you an extra fear to spend, it also reduces the number of tokens you can use to activate adversaries. Similarly, you can spend 1 fear to place 2 tokens on the action tracker, allowing you to activate more adversaries during a GM move. When combat ends or you decide the action tracker is no longer necessary for play, you gain a fear for every 2 action tokens left on the tracker, rounding down. This is the board game stuff. To me, when it started getting into cards and stuff, and look, I loved 4th edition D&D, started talking about the cards and vaulting them and choosing powers between rests and all the tokens for calculating this and that and the action tracker. My own brain just started checking out, and I said, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Will I present this to you? Yeah, I hope to find an example to do it. But I'm good. I'm good." When role-playing using the theater of the mind, it's easy to remember that things are happening off camera, even though they're not actively being described, and shift your focus between characters or scenes on the fly. However, when a battle ensues on a map with miniatures, it can feel odd to see portions of the battlefield change while others remain frozen. The action tracker can help to shift between different paths or different parts of the battlefield, reminding everyone of who has acted recently and who might want a chance in the spotlight. This helps focus the group's attention on major events without worrying about the exact passage of time or turn order. For more on using that, click at the point. Example of combat. Though my traps are deadly in case of puzzles, the puzzles are more video gamey like Legend of Zelda. Investigation to look where the big stone block has been moved to. And traps are fun too. Solving them like a puzzle or just using that as an environmental hazard. All right, let's see if we can follow along. The party is facing off with a group of bandits trying to steal a chest of treasure the group is transporting for an ally. The warrior just succeeded on an attack roll with fear against one of their adversaries. After the warrior has dealt their damage because they rolled with fear, play passes to the GM. The GM has 4 tokens on the action tracker and decides to spend them as their move. On the battlefield, there are 2 ribbit bandits and a group of 5 bandit minions. The GM spends 1 token to activate the first bandit. The GM describes her leaping down from a nearby tree to slide beneath the party's traveling wagon and break off some of the wooden floorboards to get to the treasure inside. The GM spends another token to activate the second bandit, a large bullfrog-like figure with heavy armor. They leap down to put themselves between a few members of the party and swing a massive hammer, using their Better Surrounded action that lets them hit all targets within range of their weapon. The GM rolls against the PC's evasion and succeeds. They then roll the adversary's damage dice and deal 12 points of physical damage to each target. Some of the PCs use armor to reduce the damage, and each marks their sheet accordingly. The GM spends the third token to use the minion's group attack action. This moves all 5 minions into melee range of the warrior. Not capital W. I don't bring that up for pedantic purposes, but just these are the corrections that they don't want you to send in. If you notice that there's a punctuation, capitalization, as that for sure should get straightened out in editing. The GM makes an attack describing the scene and rolling against the warrior's evasion. Maybe warrior's not supposed to be capitalized, although I thought it was above. I could be wrong. The GM succeeds, so the horde deals 3 damage each for a total of 15 points of damage to the warrior. The warrior has no armor slots left, so they take major damage, marking 2 hit points. Yeah, Barn Recluse, the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. KISS. There is 1 more token left to spend, but no more adversaries left to activate, so the GM returns play to the PCs. The GM can spend that token on a future GM move. Setting roll difficulty. Alright, so a sliding scale. Difficulty needn't be a multiple of 5, so feel free. So again, here's your multiples of 5. It doesn't have to be a multiple of 5. Feel free to choose numbers between 2 of the options above. I get it, but stop. Please. Stop. Stop. Gotcha. Here's a thing that exists. Here's a paragraph telling you it doesn't have to exist. I understand. I promise. I promise. Daggerheart. I promise. I love you. I love you, Daggerheart. Often, instead of setting a single value for success, you might instead give a player different outcomes based on the relative success or failure of their roll, especially on rolls to see what information someone spots in a scene or can remember from their past. Simply pick a target number and scale up or down the amount of information you give them based on the player's relative roll result. When a PC rolls against an adversary, the stat block provides a difficulty for the roll. However, if a PC doesn't have a stat block, or you like the unpredictability of rolling, you can have that NPC make a roll to determine that difficulty. Though this can add to the time it takes to resolve the scene, it can also be a useful tool in situations where you're unsure what the difficulty should be. To make a difficulty roll, roll a d20 and add any relevant experience the NPC or adversary has to its total. Sample difficulties. I'm skipping the list. I'm sure it makes sense. I'm just going to trust it. At this point in time, again, I just want the concept of the game. I want the pitch and the target market of the game. I don't care what a difficulty 10 lift is. okay? Maybe this gets it. Maybe this is actually 10 is too much or too little for this in the grand scale of calculating. You know, you have a 69.42% chance of doing this 50% of the time on a Tuesday after 8 p.m. in the summer. I don't care about the stats right now. I will come back and I can look at the math. Right now, cool. You can lift and smash stuff. Good to know. I'm moving on. I'm not worried about the numbers. They make sense or they don't. I'm not going to get into that right now. So I had some popcorn earlier, and I had a popcorn shell that decided to emerge. Giving advantage and disadvantage. Whenever it seems appropriate in the narrative, you may give a PC advantage or disadvantage on a roll. This is often a tool you can use to explicitly show a player that the situation is helpful or harmful to the action they are attempting. For example, if a player is attempting to sprint through deep mud or knee-high water, you might impose disadvantage on their agility check. If they say something clever to a guard or use knowledge they obtained about an NPC against them, you might impose advantage on their roll. Yeah, Paisy. A lot of it's instinctual, but as we're picking up from this is an introductory starter, kind of like baby's first RPG kind of a thing. So the chart is there as a guideline, and then they reinforce it. This is a guideline, and then they remind you that there's a reinforcement that it's a guideline. In going through some of the examples, I do believe that there should be some clarity in writing. I understand that we do live in an age where people are choosing they as an expression, but when making examples involving singular and groups of people, maybe a consistent band of named people can be put forward. I've often run into many instances of needing to second guess. Do you mean the actual plural they group of people, or a singular specified they person, or a singular unspecified so vague they person? Again, kind of written for modern age and audience. Look, if you're a they them, I don't care. That's you. But when it comes to writing and especially conveying instructions, clarity needs to be present. And whether that is constant indicators of person, like of people, of personage, but there has been questions, especially going into this understanding that the culture of the writers or publishers or company, or they're just writing to an audience that is accepting this. I need either some sort of naming consistency, or I need to know something is a little bit more clear, because there are 3 different types of theys, and if I'm reading through this, I need to have things be more explicitly conveyed. So, I'm not undermining someone's individuality. I'm not putting someone down. Though confusing language in an instructional document doesn't help convey what needs to be conveyed with clarity. Or having people stop and be pulled out of your system to second guess the meaning of words that singular unknown they don't know or don't accept or something. It does add a cultural slant in the direction of a target audience that could exclude people from possibly getting in on it. And if it excludes them, I mean, those people will filter themselves. They'll make that determination, right? No, that's the plural in that regard. So It doesn't insult me if a singular self-identifying specific they is here. The examples have been not consistent. And so for the sake of clarity, not for social points, political points, I'm not trying to change people's minds about their feelings regarding anything outside of he's and she's. I'm not here to do that. But I need as a reader and as an instructor, clarity. If you as the writer, Darrington Press or whomstedative ever, can provide clarity while keeping, if you feel that there is a societal obligation to include a specified they, find a way to make it consistent and not questioned with other interpretations of a singular unknown they or a known plural they or an unknown plural they. English is a very interesting language. But in an instructional format, I urge clarity. That's all I'm saying that I'm seeking. I just need things to be consistent and clear, please. This is not a hot take. This is not a societal gotcha against one side or the other. If this document is going through editing and does need to be revised, I would urge consistency in application of concepts, especially among words that can mean different things. There was an example above from the other night that was referring to a swirl of combat and was talking about the players as well as the players' characters as well as the individuals as well as groups. And it was... It could be very jarring, even for someone who might be comfortable using, newer applications of personal pronouns, which it's on their character sheet. They want to encourage pronoun use in this game. Pathfinder from Paizo has it too. This is not unique. Please be clear and please be consistent. That's my very not spicy, not hot take. I am owning no one. I'm not dunking on anyone. I want to make it very clear. I'm not throwing the concept of a they, them under the bus. We all can have personal feelings about it. You have your right? We all do, because we're all individuals. I just want to make sure that there's clarity. Especially when writing about the characters, the players of the characters, individual enemies, or groups of players, of enemies, or groups of characters. That's all I need. Tepid, low temperature take. Low temperature take. Yeah, so DQ, I mean something that says, look, our game is for everyone. You can identify as a he, she, it, we, they, a fae, a zer, them. Our tables for Daggerheart are open for all. But I need clarity of instruction. This is why the passive voice can't work when you're trying to teach. Especially if you are writing in a modern direction just as this document does seek to have the GM trust the players, right? Trust the players of the characters, trust the reader that if someone does, for the sake of clarity and wanting to get more people reading, and the examples are clear, not every expression of oneself could be used for the sake of clarity, or even to, you be you. It's 2024. You be you. Though, if we include, all sorts of other standard or these neo pronouns or something, it could be alienating for potential players who want to come aboard and not confuse a societal movement in the U.S. or Western world with what we're trying to convey in our fiction. Which is also, it also comes back to the consistent tearing out of the fiction while encouraging the fiction, and where do we lie there? So I just need clarity. That's all I want. That shouldn't be spicy. If any of you out there think that I stepped in it, did I say something that was somehow pearl clutching or offensive? I mean, please let me know. I'm a big boy. I'm also blurry. I can take it. I'm fine, but I hope that my words did come across well, and my intention came across with that brought up, in the course of things. Yeah, small anarchy. Because of how English works with they, it could be a lot of different things, especially if you know that the target audience or the writers or the corporate culture or whomever is fine and open to this. It can be very confusing and muddling, which then in a very bad way can go and hurt the people who want to express the plural themselves as a singular themself, because then this conflates it and makes a bunch of normies go, I'm done with this. Yeah, Paisy. Oh no, Barn Recluse clutched every pearl available. Small Anarchy says, it reminds me of an issue of Valorant. New character identifies as they, them, but if you misgender them, you can get banned. The issue lies that if you mention they are there, it sounds like, yeah, so there's that. So, for as much as this might be sensitive, this is for the sake of clarity, and from me coming from the direction of, I want you to write something coherent and cohesive to teach people. If you want to express through this game, if you want to express and accommodate for... Hang on. If you want to express and accommodate for whatever, because there's specifically a lot of real estate up here for pronouns. It's your game. It's your audience. This is yours. If you feel that this is necessary for your game, it's there. But please conduct it in a way that will express things clearly. Just make it clear. But also, for anyone who might play this, there may very well be people who want to play this but don't want to, they don't want to use or clarify pronouns. So, and don't get upset at them. Don't alienate them. If you feel that it is a part of you or a culture that you identify with, online or off, a very bad thing you can do is to lord over someone's paper, realize that they're not engaging, that the unspecific singular they are not engaging with the pronoun part, and then all of a sudden it turns into a very terrible stereotype that hurts the people who shouldn't be hurt, or who are more classically hurt more often. Whether this is necessary or not for a game to have on your character sheet, that is up to you to decide. Use it or don't. Include it in your playtest material as feedback. Is this actually necessary? Hopefully it doesn't come across as some partisan screed one way or the other. But I just need clarity, please. That's all. That is all. Yeah, and Paisy, whether or not it's supposed to be there, I'm not saying it does or doesn't. There are people who use and don't use all kinds of boxes. I know my character's name. I don't need to write it down on my character sheet. What is this, elementary school homework? Okay, hey. I also don't always make a basic stick figure sketch of my character portrait on D&D sheets. Yeah, so okay. Although, Small Anarchy, I'm curious, as you have over the course of your life developed various artistic talents, do you find yourself doing basic sketches using your natural or honed skills? Do you sketch your characters, or even offer at a table of virtual or in person? Do you offer to do that for others to help them get into their character? Speaking of empty boxes on character sheets. Actually, wait a minute. That reminds me. And this is not outrage bait or whatever, click farming. I actually don't see on this character sheet a place to sketch. Yeah. It's not necessary. I'm not outraged it's not there. But I guess speaking of such things, what systems do or don't have this or that, I am noticing that on the character sheet. Although, I mean, if this is made to be modular, to have tokens and cards and everything, it's maybe not necessary on the core sheet to have something like that. So, I don't know. Little quirks. Well, that's very nice of you to do then, Small. Alright. Well, I don't see any of you in chat that are canceling me in real time on social media, or that Twitch is coming in here with a representative saying, "Sir, you're problematic and I need you to leave." Hopefully that topic was handled maturely and directly, and was very accommodating for discussion, for civil discussion. Oh yeah, at Paisy, I've plundered inspiration as well. That's a time-honored tradition, Paisy. I don't know what you're talking about. Small Anarchy, close your goblin ears. You're not supposed to hear this, but I may or may not take inspiration from online sources. Recluse says, "Oh wait, I forgot to cancel you. How do I sign up on MySpace?" No, I understand, Small, and Small, it's good to see you back in the saddle. I've been a fan of your art and your style, obviously for a while, and I'm very proud of the pieces I have from you. And I hope in the future, as things continue moving, that I can get more from you. I'm very optimistic for that, and I appreciate you spending time here in the workshop tonight as well. So, I do have, if any of you are curious, over on Discord, you can see the pieces that Small Anarchy has made. The Griffin, the Dragon, the Prize Goblin. Although, were you working on her again? I thought I saw a tease that you might be. Are you like touching her up or something? And then there's the Glublin as well. But Small, I'm a fan. Like, honestly, like, eye contact. I'm talking to you. It's not. Yeah, so. Dragon Blast says, all of my characters have a sketch. They're just in a whiteout blizzard every time. Yeah, funny. A bunch of northern characters. They all love the winter. Anyway. We are going to... let's continue. Advantage and disadvantage. You use it to reflect gameplay decisions or increase or decrease tension or as a reward. Because you control both the difficulty and the addition of advantage or disadvantage on a roll, why not just lower or raise the difficulty instead? You certainly can, but the advantage-disadvantage system allows players to feel good about their advantage and the chance to roll extra dice. For any standard adventurer, it would be a difficulty of 15 to sneak by the head guard without being noticed. But because you knocked out one of their lackeys and stole their attire, you'll take advantage on a presence roll to move by them without catching their eye. The world exists, and the character's actions and their current situation can modify how successful they are in interacting with it. Awesome, Small. I look forward to it. No, Small's not an original artist of the mascots. Though, if you go to the Gallery of Heroes on our Discord, you can see a version of the dragon in like leather pants and like a workshop attire. You can see the griffin coming down for this awesome aerial smash. And then you can see the prize goblin just taking a stroll through the forest, as goblins do. Yeah, normal, and it's encouraging you, hey, make your players feel good, give them advantage, and go from there. Yeah, Delport, I don't think I knew Small Anarchy when we were doing the Prize Goblin design contest. Otherwise, for sure, I would have asked for a concept. But, you know, as Small Anarchy does specialize with the small, it was only natural to eventually have the Goblin and the Glublin come up. And, hey, there's 4 others waiting in the wings as soon as the queue clears up. Adversary action rolls. Adversaries aren't limited to just the attacks and unique actions in their stat blocks. Those represent their special abilities, but they can do most anything a PC would do. However, other than the attack rolls described in the next section, adversaries don't typically make action rolls. When you want an adversary's action to have a chance of failure, you can offer the PCs a chance to make a reaction roll or otherwise respond to the situation. This highlights the agency of the PCs and keeps the story focused on them. For dramatic or difficult tasks that the PC can't influence, you may occasionally want to roll to see if the adversary succeeds. To do so, roll a d20 and add any relevant experience they have. These rolls are more interesting if you tell the players the difficulty and roll where they can see a result. Adversary attack rolls. This plays out like the players do. You can take this step by step. Reaction rolls. Not going to worry about that. We covered a lot of this. Now, of course, remember as the GM, you use a d20 and not the 2d12 that the players do. You can use standard countdowns. Alright. A chart on progress or consequences, roll results on a countdown. Not worried about lists. I'm skipping over that. Not that it's not engaging. At this point, I still don't care about the minutia of the game or the measured numerical values. Yep, I know about countdowns. If any of you don't know how to do countdowns in your tabletop role-playing game, you just saw a couple pages dedicated to explaining the idea, specifically in Daggerheart, but in general as well. Using gold as a quest reward can give your players a fun way to procure new equipment for future adventures. This book leaves the price of items up to you. Yeah, that's right. There are no prices on items. Gold exists, and it exists as coins, handfuls, sacks, or chests, with units of 10 upgrading into each. Using gold as a quest reward can give your players a fun way to procure... Okay, yeah. This book leaves the price of items up to you, allowing you to decide how much importance you want to place on gold in your campaign. If you don't want to worry about gold in your campaign, you can always let the PCs go to a shop and talk with a merchant there, abstracting payment and letting each player choose an item or two for their tier. When you do this, rather than letting them choose from the whole tier list, you can encourage them to shop around by only offering a few that make sense for that location. If you'd rather gold play a larger role in your game, follow the distributing equipment section. Provides further guidance. When giving out loot, the lower the item or consumable number is on the list, the less impactful it tends to be. Consumables are often less powerful just by their nature, so if you're looking to give out something to every low-level player, consider low-value consumables. If you're looking for something a little more permanent, consider low-value items. On the other hand, if players are reaching the pinnacle of their campaign, and you want to give them something very powerful, consider a few high-value consumables and items. You are highly encouraged to make your own items and consumables as you see fit for your campaign. Yep, alright, that's every system. Almost every system, anyway. Especially Paranoia. We were talking about Paranoia earlier. Optional GM mechanics you can choose to implement. Fate rolls. Sometimes the GM wants to use randomness when deciding something that's not dependent on a particular character's capabilities. You use a fate roll. Roll the fear die on an 8 or higher. The fire... Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, okay. So it's... Yeah, you use those. Alright, so it's just a method of determining a random outcome. Falling or throwing damage. If a character falls a long way to the ground or is thrown against a faraway object, you can deal direct physical damage at 1d20 per range beyond very close. Hit points and damage are two different things in this system. So if you go, wait a minute, like falling damage is a d20, it's because damage does not equal hit point loss in this system. Moving and fighting underwater, a conflict between PCs. Alright, I'm not worried about minutia there. Running GM NPCs. Coming soon. Okay, so nothing about that. Session 0, it was brought up before. Session 0s are good. Safety tools. Laying the groundwork. An essential part of Session 0 is choosing your game content and safety tools. Alright, safety tools. Yep. Finding inspiration. Throughout Session 0, look for hooks and nuggets of ideas to store and use as creative inspiration throughout the campaign. This can be things as small as a turn... Okay, yeah. Finding... Yep, got it. Borrow ideas, as we were just talking about that above. Alright, Session 0 breakdown. Got it. Yep. Got it. Minutia. Telling people... Not telling people what to do, but offering sternly worded options to do it. So Barn Recluse for that, because this is a very improvised-based system. Trust your feelings. Well, what's the phrase from Star Wars? Search your feelings, you know them to be true. If you think that person has earned the boss slaying sword +3, then give that character the boss slaying sword +3. If not, then don't. I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. This is very much a just feel it out. Just go as you will. Mechanics of things like that, where there seems to be a baked-in value of, all right, at this level, you need to make sure that on average, your total with modifiers is this. Next level, your total with modifiers is this. You know, where it's a heuristic treadmill kind of a thing. Yeah, your numbers are going up, but you're not. They're not also going up, because statistically everything is the same despite how powerful you get. So in that case, it's not lazy writing or anything, because it's thematic to the system. Is it appropriate that your character gets the boss slaying sword +3? Cool. Give him the boss slaying sword +3. Yeah, and so Small Anarchy, this system also very deftly avoids questions of economics by saying, yeah, gold doesn't have to exist. You're good. We trust you with that. Very well dodged, Daggerheart. Economies, but there is a practicality. There are people who don't like to play inventory mini games or to play party accountant. This is not requiring someone play accountant personally or for the party. So in this case, I can agree to the abstract. The more abstract method. But if you ever... I will say this. I happen to know someone who really loves economics. And so if you or anyone else out there would ever like to discuss it or to get an idea of economies for your game, I happen to know a guy who might be able to point you in a good direction. See? Oh, so Barn Recluse, you're thinking along the lines that it wants you to think. All right, so we have preparing combat encounters, right? Because we were... No, wait, did I go too far ahead? Yeah, because this breaks down... Yeah, that breaks down the... A plan is a list of things that can go wrong, everyone, and that's a plan for sure. Thinking in beats and storytelling. A beat is a moment that changes trajectory of the narrative. It might be a shift in the world, actions and reactions, an emotional revelation or decision. Not every event in a story is a beat. As the GM in a collaborative game, you're going to be alternating with the players, narrating a beat and then letting them react and carry the scene forward with their own beats. It's like a dance, a conversation, a game of tennis. This focus on beats is very useful in preparation. Rather than writing out every single thing that is going to happen, you can think in beats, the moments that give shape to the scene or sequence. If you're preparing a session where a mercenary company seizes control of a border town in a narrow mountain pass to prepare a kingdom for invasion and thinking in beats for a countdown, you might do it like this. Example provided. You can read that on your own. It's important approach each encounter from the perspective of what tells the best story and build out the kinds of hurdles the PCs face around that question. Through this lens, we can start to think about enemies and damage as another tool in our GM toolbox for heightening tension, creating drama, and forwarding the narrative. Balancing encounters and making appropriate enemies will become much easier as you run more sessions, and you won't have to make as many guesses during prep. But in the beginning, you can't expect to get it perfect, and that's okay. Adjust on the fly as necessary, and find the right balance as you play, and you'll naturally figure out what will work best for your table. The most important thing is that the combat the players are in is being used to give them more information about the narrative that's unfolding. It's informing something about the world or plot or the characters. That being said, there are some tools included here for you to use when prepping encounters that will make their life easier. There's, of course, a way to provide it. Yeah, I got it. I know. 1 step, 2 steps forward, 1 step back in this case. Here's a list of stuff, but you don't have to use it. Got it. These are good concepts. If you're not familiar with the concepts, I'm not glazing over them because they're uninteresting or incorrect in some way. You read them yourself, but this is 101 level. You'll find this maybe not written out to exhaustive repetitiveness as you are in Daggerheart, but these are good lessons to learn. If you already know it, skip ahead. And that's what we're doing here. An example. All right, yeah, you can read that. Session rewards coming soon. Crafting scenes. Sharing the spotlight. It does encourage you to make sure that not one person hogs the spotlight. This might very well be acting lesson stuff. Again, I don't know. Maybe this book has a core written off of improv books or acting 101 books or something. Got it. Chapter 4 presents rules for using adversary and environment stat blocks in combat. Alright, so these are all options that you can or don't have to use. Downtime, character death, which is an option in this game. Yep. Leveling up your party. This seems redundant. I swear we went over this. Although I guess that was for the player's benefit. This is in the GM section. But this does seem to be redundant, or could just reference the rules. Yeah, leveling up in Chapter 2. Alright, this builds on the things that were talked about before. Alright. And so we've done it. We've gotten through Chapter 3, and I think we've had some pretty good discussions about the mechanics or the methodology, about the tone. I certainly think so. Chapter 4, adversaries and environments. This is going to get now into battles and the numbers. I think where that's way more important. I have a solid. By this point, I have a solid opinion about the tone and the theme of the game, the direction of the writing, the culture of the writing, and the players and the writers and the publisher and everything. My initial assessment stands. This is a board game fusion entry-level TTRPG. This is young adult novel style, maybe like a 13 plus, 10 plus. Maybe not to run, but to play. This is definitely an introductory, a beginner TTRPG with fidget spinner board game elements, and it is pointed in a very particular direction for appealing to very particular people. So I guess we'll see where the crunch plays out a little bit further here in Chapter 4 when we get into now like the stat blocks, and we'll see how it interacts, and we can move forward from there. I survived Chapter 3, and that's only partially sarcastic, because it's unfair to people who've never been familiar with this, like Barn Recluse. If you're newer and you've never GM'd a TTRPG before, I don't want you to get the wrong impression that I'm skipping over this stuff because it's not important. There are good things here, but as someone that this was not meant to write towards, this is it's written in a way that a mechanic, as someone who's either been educated or just hands-on experience, been a mechanic for 20 years, doesn't need to read the instruction manual, that a paragraph that most screws are righty-tighty and lefty-loosey. So me skipping forward past this, a lot of this is both what I consistently teach in the workshop, so you'll get those lessons here anyway over time. The phraseology, the wording, the direction is towards people who don't know this and have never practiced it or have trouble considering examples of what a concept can mean. That it's not said in a derogatory fashion. It could be through just lack of experience, ignorance to this whole wonderful set of games, of role-playing games. Or there might be people who do have chronological or cognitive issues that need things spelled out for them in detail, listing every possibility with that detail. So, from my perspective and what I've presented, it's important to know that righty is tighty, lefty is loosey. Now, if you're an auto mechanic, that's not on everything. The bolts on your tires have to be different for a reason. Wait, unless I have that backwards. Anyway, there's some that aren't, but that's the very rare exception. So I'm not going to sit here and read the paragraph telling you righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It's important to know. I'm not going to tell it to you. You can read about it yourself on your own time. Hi, Jacance. Would I run a game and can I sign up for it? I will present the example one-shot in this playtest packet. At this point in time, Barn Recluse, I do not intend to run Daggerheart on the channel. I'm fine, and I'm fine signal boosting people who want to play it. Again, this system's existence doesn't hamper mine. I do not feel diminished philosophically, intellectually, morally, politically, any other adverb, ALLY. And unfortunately, fiscally, yeah, because I don't have to buy it and stock it. I'm also not out anything, would I sell it? Of course, I would stock it. I don't feel like I'm corrupting the youth of society by selling a copy of Daggerheart or presenting it here. I don't think I'm running this. Could I enjoy it? I also enjoy putting puzzles, like jigsaw puzzles together, but I don't often do that because there's other things I would rather do with my time. Daggerheart's mechanics or design philosophy or the way that it carries out, I have other things that I would prefer to explore with my tabletop role-playing game time than what Daggerheart is, at its core, meant to present. There are other emotions, other opportunities, and there are other risks that I would rather take as a character than be protected against through Daggerheart. Plus, also, Barn Recluse, I'm sorry to break your heart. I am recruiting for things like a VTM 2-shot that I'm running at the end of the month, but I'm recruiting it through Discord. And that's also where I have this $400 Tiamat, Gargantuan Tiamat mini I'm giving away. There's also that I'm doing through Discord too. But unfortunately, life ain't fair all the time. So it is what it is. And there might be other opportunities to play in games or to run things. Or to partake, because I will run it. There are things I will run with you all on the channel that don't require Discord. So stay tuned, not just for Daggerheart, but maybe something else upcoming. Clues on Discord. So yeah, is this my game? No. Would I teach it? Someone honestly, yeah. If someone honestly wants to run it, if someone was a big Critical Role fan and they want to support the company, I would recommend it. If they're a first timer, I'd recommend it. If someone is looking for a horror game or a game of something, I guess, more risky, obviously I wouldn't recommend this to sci-fi people. I wouldn't recommend this to horror people. I wouldn't recommend this to people who want more of a higher stakes system. I wouldn't recommend this to OSR people. I wouldn't recommend this to someone who has maybe a lot of other experience, unless they're super searching for a unique mechanic. Just as I as an adult can go bumper bowling. I can pay the bowling alley to put bumpers in the gutter, and I will go up granny style, and I will huck the bowling ball down a bumper bowling alley. Am I going to do that as a fully functional adult who can pay for that? No, I will not. Will I eat a gutter ball and say maybe I'll do better next time? I will, but that's because I want to. Not that I feel I have to. I don't have to prove myself to you all. But I see Daggerheart as bumper bowling. It's entry level. This is aimed at newcomers. This is aimed at people with a particular online culture, or maybe a reclusive personality, one way or the other. And so if this is that lighthouse that will draw them into the broader world and help them get experience and do amazing things, awesome. I'm all about it. But this game is very clearly written not for me. Could I enjoy it? Maybe as a player, maybe as a person running it, I would do it my own way, which it encourages, but do I want to? I do not feel compelled. I do not feel compelled to run Daggerheart the way that I thought Skull and Crown, or Crown and Skull. That I felt very compelled to want to test out and actively tinker with and play with and run. Daggerheart exists. I'm fine with it existing. It's perfectly fine. It's not compelling for me. By the way, Small Anarchy, a conversion like that works. That really does work well. And use the real economy that we're in and just extrapolate that to the world in which you're presenting in fantasy. Hi, Rosewolf. So, did I drop the hammer on Daggerheart? Did I send Matt Mercer and Critical Role running? Haha! I owned the, I don't know, what would they be? Snowflakes or SJWs or something? What's the parlance that might be used against them? Or am I embracing this in order to, own the chuds? Go back home and cry to your OSR grognards, bigots, or whatever, right? That the other petulant and abhorrent side of these things, unfortunately, act. I am not owning anyone, and this is not controversial. I think that this is a product meant to fill a niche. I do wish them success. I hope that they can fill the niche, and hopefully over the course of the next couple years, as this is refined and released, people start playing it and they're really involved. If this turns into the next big thing, awesome. And I'm glad I could be a part of the playtest. Hopefully when I fill out my survey card, I've been able to leave like half of a fingerprint in some way on something meaningful to people, to bring them and welcome them in, and to go from Daggerheart, not into D&D. Maybe they do. Maybe they want to jump right into Vesen. Maybe they want to jump into Alien RPG. Maybe they want to jump into One Ring. Oh, those are all Free League. Hashtag not sponsored. Maybe they want to jump into Starfinder. Maybe they want to jump into... let's see, what's something else kind of... they want to jump into Pendragon or Call of Cthulhu. Or they want to jump into Werewolf the Apocalypse as their next step out of Daggerheart. But you know what? They couldn't have taken those steps into those other systems. Not that I want to see people play things in particular. I don't count it as some like social score or win or something. But now we have more people playing more games. And that will, over time, in the long run, qualifying statements, benefit more people, including the individuals who took that step forward and tried something new that will hopefully introduce them to a life of hobby, of storytelling, miniature painting. Maybe even they develop their own system 20 years from now. I hope I'm not dead and gone then. I'm only going to be 21 this year. But maybe in some way, they'll go on and make an even better Daggerheart. Cool. Because the torch needs to be passed somehow.